iterate and improve on things that work and make them better. So I'm honored to be here presenting Via Prize, making crowdfunding trustworthy, and how to replace government contracts with prizes as a more efficient system. I'm very honored to be here because it took a long time of me searching around to find the people I wanted to spend time with. I lost my sense of purpose. I really wanted to find a new religion, so I backpacked around the world. I street performed juggling, and finally found this community at an orphanage in Ecuador where I found some hope. Because they would take care of the people around them. They would give you food, even if that meant they would be hungrier for the rest of the day. That's just how they treated everyone. And I realized what I was missing was a sense of community, people around where you know they're going to be there, taking care of each other. So I had this new mission to empower communities, ensuring they have the right tools to come together, take care of one another. It was unfortunate that during the pandemic they were losing their jobs, and so the orphanage was starting to shut down, so I tried to support them. At the time, I was studying at UC Berkeley and training with the Marine Corps officer program, so I tried to do that and work multiple jobs at the same time to support them. First, I wasn't able to pay rent, so I was crashing on friends' couches and was kind of homeless during this, and they were eating one meal a day for a while, and I had thought, expected, and dreamed that I would be changing the world, building new societies, but I couldn't even take care of my own loved ones. And people tried to help. They tried to do international bank transfers and spent hours on the phone, couldn't even figure out how to send money over. And eventually I realized, I just need to drop out and take care of them. So I dropped out of university and had nothing but a backpack and a desperate need for entrepreneurship. So, after many rejections, trying every opportunity, fortunately found a job at an AI startup where I built on a team of 70 people that I was managing as a founding member that raised 7 figures. Made 8 figures eventually. So then I was very happy that I could be taking care of my loved ones. But then we were automating away jobs. They were actually this one company that was going to fire hundreds of employees using the automations we had built. So I left that because I needed to stick with that mission that had finally given me purpose to empower these communities. So found this place called Kuzalu where we tested out some new ideas, where we could solve this problem of international transfers using things like crypto, which is way easier to use. And the other issue is, for people who wanted to support them, they wondered, what's going to happen to that money? How do I have any guarantees? Which is a really good question. Turns out there's a huge issue in crowdfunding, a $30 billion issue. On Kickstarter, one platform alone, they lost $700 million just last year, where money went into crowdfunding campaigns and people never received what they were promised. And worldwide, that is a massive issue, which affects people like that family, who are like my adopted family at this point, in Ecuador. So how do we regain some of that trust? Regain some of that efficiency? So imagine if instead of just handing money to people, we put money into escrow. You can call this a bounty or a prize. And then it's an open invitation where anyone can complete the idea, make it real, and then collect that prize. So it's somewhere between like Kickstarter and Upwork, or it's like a decentralized X Prize for people familiar with X Prize. So here's an example, right? You come up with an idea. Then people add funds to the idea if they support it. So you can see the demand for the idea grow in real time, live. So then, when the deadline comes around, maybe that was enough incentive with that market force for someone to come in and build it, collect the prize. And if no one does it, then you can refund everyone so you have a guarantee that either I get what I asked for or I get my money back. So unlike things like Kickstarter or other things like that, this has guarantees in it. So there's a few roles in here. You've got the author who comes up with the idea. You've got funders who add into it, and then builders who create it. And there's benefits in each of these. For the author, we have 5% cuts. There's actually money in there. You get recognized for your ideas. It's so easy to outsource your ideas for other people to make it. Then, for the funders, you have way more guarantees. And for the builder, you can be an entrepreneur easier. Because an entrepreneur is someone who isn't paid per hour. They're paid for the amount of demand they fulfill. And with this, they don't have to do user research and try and guesstimate how much demand there is. They see live exactly how much money is there for them if they build this. So we tested this out. At Suzalu, talked it through with Vitalia and some other entrepreneurs, and we decided, okay, what if we did some of these? One of the first things was 2 people putting $50 each into an idea to build a productivity app. Some random person we never met before in California as a developer did it as a weekend project, made it free, because that was one of the requirements, and it got over 10,000 downloads. And each person who's using it could potentially be saving hours every week, because when you open up your phone, it asks you why you did it. So you use it with intention. That's how much value was added with that much incentive, because it's gamified, it's fun. Then as the next example, we had this idea, what if we made an AI voice for a river so you could talk with nature and embed research papers into it that no one wants to read. People spend years writing it, but now you can actually interact and ask it, how are you feeling today? Get a flowy answer. Or you can ask exactly what is your depth, and you'll get the meters. We had these sort of conversations, and it was just an idea until a bunch of people added in $20 each to test out the idea of crowd-funded prizes. And with no other incentive than a bunch of friends tossing $20 each, 12 people came together because they're attracted to this open invitation in an impromptu hackathon. They built it, and within 5 days, it was working, and the Prime Minister of Montenegro came down to see it as an exciting project. And that was just testing. So I saw this can incentivize collective action. This can bring people together. This economic mechanism works and should be tested more. Let's see if this can have a really important impact. So right after Suzalu and Montenegro went to Ukraine. Thanks to that confidence, more willingness to contribute, because you know you get refunded if it doesn't happen, people contributed so that we could deliver medical supplies. Drove into Ukraine, saw a kamikaze drone diving towards me that got shot down partway through. Thankfully, made it safely, met these crazy volunteers who are some of the most inspiring people I know who are on the front lines. Literally what they do is they drive out in a truck like 10 minutes under fire, pick someone up who's bleeding, put on a tourniquet, and drive back. And they'd run out of these tourniquets to stop bleeding up there. So we delivered that. They used it treating 45 injured, and they said without a doubt saved several lives. That cost $3,500 and proved crowdfunded prizes has already saved lives. So that was done within just a first few weeks without any funding, just because we really cared about testing out this idea. That was the speed of the progression. Imagine what we could do if we had real support. So then put out also meta prizes for people to add features into our platform. So that way it attracted people. It's even a recruiting method to test out working with them. And out of a couple dozen people contributing, picked out the best, who are just absolute geniuses. I'm so grateful for the hard work that they put in. Dipanshu, Nithin, Swaraj, and Aryan. Just like one example, like Nithin, he was able to be first person in his family of just farmers in a village, and he funded his way to go to university by making reels on YouTube of a famous guru. Just like that level of entrepreneurship. So grateful for them. So, this can be massive. If you didn't know, crowdfunding as industry is actually doubling every 5 years. That's the speed that we're going with. And we intend to exceed that. Now, we've gotten some usage even here at Vitalia, doing things like a massage table that we crowdfunded, things like this Wuzheng Chinese instrument, Chinese tea ceremony. So community can come together and crowdfund good experiences. But how are we going to get to this massive scale? And that's where the unique connections come in with government contracts. So we know how corrupt government contracts can be, where you lock in something that does not match the market price. You find someone where it's way too expensive, and maybe they just had the best connections and they get locked into the contract. Or if you put it in as a prize for certain things, you can get much better result, more competition. Examples of jurisdictions that could be entertaining this are things like Prospero, which already has the builder network that uses bounties. They could add crowdfunding to that. Our World in Zanzibar, which we will hear from in the future as well. Bhutan, which we will also have a call with the person who runs their de facto sovereign wealth fund. Or Montenegro, where the Prime Minister is excited about these sorts of ideas. And one of the specific use cases is during COVID, there was a coalition of around 60 countries petitioning Pfizer to say how it's possible to make the vaccine. And Pfizer refused, and they estimated thousands and thousands of people were dying, untold economic destruction because of that decision. Imagine if you had a crowdfunded prize to develop something like this, which would reverse the incentive. Instead of needing to stay the monopoly, they could have collected billions funded by governments, by NGOs, by individuals. And in order to receive it, they have to show, here is the process to make it. So they could also collect on funds even before scaling up distribution. They can still be distributors and still be selling it, which they're very good at. But now, other places like India can produce it locally, meanwhile at the same time. These are the things that we are building towards. Very grateful to be incubating it at pop-up cities such as Vitalia and some other Zuzalo-inspired pop-up cities. And if you guys would like to reach out to find out more, very happy to connect with you. Thank you all very much.